In this video, we're going to be learning about the traditional division algorithm, aka also known as long division. Most older people will refer to it as long division. And before we start actually dividing, we're going to start with a mnemonic device. And our mnemonic device is going to be a question that's going to help us remember the steps. So the question is, do most students carry books daily? Do most students carry books daily? That question is going to help us remember the steps. And the steps to long division are: D is divide, M is multiply, S is subtract, C is compare, and the B and the D go together, and they stand for bring down. So divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. Once you bring down, if you need to go do more dividing, you go back up and you start at the top and work your way down. It's just like a circle. So let's come over here to our problem, and our divisor is 3. Our dividend is 435. The dividend, the number that is being divided, is 435. So let's look at the first step, divide. To start, we're going to look for the divisor and the greatest place of the dividend. So in this case, it's a 3 and a 4, and this 4 is worth 100 since it's in the hundreds place. And we're going to see how many groups of 3 can we get from 4. So if I had 4 apples, how many piles of 3 could I get? Well, I could get 1 pile of 3 from those 4 apples. So I did my dividing. Now, after I divide, then I'm going to multiply. And I always multiply the number that I just put up at the top times the divisor. So 1 times 3 is 3. After I multiply, then I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Once I have subtracted and got my difference, excuse me, I'm going to compare this difference with the divisor. And what I'm looking for is to make sure this number right here is smaller than the divisor. It is. If it weren't, that would tell you that, or if it was the same, if it was 3 or bigger, or the same or larger, that would tell you didn't do your dividing or your subtracting correctly. But I did, so now I'm going to continue on. I've finished subtracting. Now, C, compare. I just compared. Now I'm going to bring down. And then to bring down, I just take the next number from the dividend and bring it down. Then I go back up to the top and start my dividing again. This time when I divide, I'm not looking at these numbers up here anymore. Now I'm looking down here, the 13. So I'm going to see how many groups of 3 can I get from 13. If I had 13 apples, how many piles of 3 could I make? Well, I could think 4 times 3 equals 12, and I could do not 4 times 3. I could think 5 times 3 equals 15. 15 is bigger than 13, so that's too big, so I'm going to have to go with this one, 12. So 13 divided by 3 would give me 4 groups. So I just divided. Then I'm going to multiply. 4 times 3, this 4 times this 3, which is going to give me 12, and my answer is going to go right here for 12. After I multiply, I subtract, and I get 1. Then I compare again. Looking at this number compared to this number. It's smaller, so I can continue on. And I'm going to continue by bringing down my last digit, the ones place, from the dividend. And I have of 5, so 15. Now, earlier I thought 15 times 5 was 15, which fits perfectly right here. So I brought down, I come back up to my divide, and this time I'm going to divide 15 by 3. 15 divided by 3, I know from my previous problem, again there, is 5. So I divided. Now I'm going to multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Then I subtract, I get 0, I compare, looking again, last check, this is smaller than this, then there's nothing more to bring down. I've finished my problem, and 345 divided by 3 gives me an answer of 145. Now for this next problem, I would like for you to try it out on your own or working along with me and hit pause as you need to. So I'm going to move on to the next page and get another problem up for you. Here's our next problem, and again, I would like for you to either try it on your own and then check it when you're done, or work along with me on either your scratch paper or your whiteboard. I've got my mnemonic device over here. Divide. Do most students carry books daily? Divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. And let's jump right into the problem. Our divisor in this problem is 8, and the greatest place of our dividend is in the hundreds place again. It's 3. So I'm going to see how many groups of 8 can I get from 3. If I have 3 apples, how many piles of 8 could I make? Well, if I had three apples, I couldn't make any piles of 8. So some people leave it blank. Some people like to put a 0 at the top. Whatever you choose is fine. I like to put a 0 up at the top. Now, since that didn't work, now I have to look at 35. So how many groups of 8 could I get from 35? Well, I know 8 times 4 is 32, and I know 8 times 5 is 40. So as I look at these, 32 is close to 35, but it's not too big. 40 is bigger than 35, so this problem won't work for this. So I'm going to stick with this one right here. So how many groups of 8 can I get from 35? Well, I can get 4 groups evenly, and I'm going to have a little bit left over. So I just finished my dividing. Now I'm going to multiply. Remember, always multiply the top times the divisor. So 4 times 8, which I did over here already, is 32. Then I subtract. 35 minus 32 is 3. And now I'm ready to compare. 3 is less than 8. So I can move on to bringing down. And when I bring down the 7, I'm ready to go back up and to divide. To divide, now I'm looking at these numbers down here, 37 divided by 8. How many groups of 8 can I get from 37? If I come back over here, I already have this done. 32 is less than 37. 40 is bigger than 37, so this one won't work again. So we'll go with this one. How many groups of 8 can I get from 37? Well, I can get 4. Then I do 4 times 8, which is 32. So I did my dividing, I did my multiplying, I'm ready to subtract. 37 minus 32 is 5. Then I compare. 5 is less than 8. There's nothing left to bring down. So I'm left with this. Now what do I do with this number here, 5? Those 5 objects, whatever they would be, won't fit evenly into another group. They won't make a whole other group of 8. So those are just leftovers, and we call that the remainder. 44 remainder 5 is the answer to 357 divided by 8. I'm going to do one more practice problem if you'd like to work along, and otherwise you can get started on your next math paper. Here's our third example problem, and remember we've got our divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down to keep in mind. For this problem I'm not going to put check marks next to it, it's just here to help remind me. So let's jump right in, and we're going to start with the divisor and the greatest place of our dividend. How many groups of 6 could I get from 4? If I had 4 apples, how many piles of 6 could I make? Well, I couldn't make any. So now I have to look at the 47. How many groups of 6 could I get from 47? Well, now, if you'd like to, you can write your problems over here. It's not necessary. 6 times 7 is 42, and 6 times 8 is 48. So 6 times 8 is going to be a little bit too big for this one, so we'll go with 6 times 7. 47 divided by 6 would give me 7 groups of 6. Then I multiply. 7 times 6 is 42. I subtract. 47 minus 42 is 5. Oops, that's not a very good 5. There we go. Now I'm ready to compare. 5 is less than 6, so we're okay. After we compare, then we bring down the next number. Now, how many groups of 6 can we get from 58? How many groups of 6 can we get from 58? If I come over to my problem here, 48 is going to be closer than 42, but I think it might be a little bit smaller. So let's try 6 times 9, which is 54. That one will work. So 58 divided by 6, 58 divided by 6 is going to be 9, which our 9 goes up here. 9 times 6 is 54. After you multiply, you subtract. 58 minus 54 is 4. 4 is less than 6. So after we compare, we bring down another number. Now this was a longer number, and you just keep bringing down if there's more digits left to bring down. And our 3 is going to go right here. So we're looking at 43 divided by 6. If I had 43 apples, how many groups of 6 could I make? If I come back over to my multiplication problems here, this is too big, this is too big, we're back to here, this one would work again. So 43 divided by 6 is going to be 7. 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract. 43 minus 42 is 1. Compare. 1 is less than 6. There's no more digits over here to bring down. So again, we're left with this one left over and won't make another whole group of 6. And so that is going to be our remainder. 4,783 divided by 6 equals 797, remainder 1. Make sure if you have any questions you let Mr. Brandt know, and he'll help you as soon as he can.